Garrett, my man, welcome to the interview. Welcome to the YouTube channel. You've been a client of mine for how long? About a month and a half, probably 2 months, maybe.
Oh, probably about 2 months now, I would say. Yeah.
2 months. Okay,
It's
I'm gonna do.
yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you for taking the time to hop on for real. Kind of just give everyone, I guess, your story of kind of like what you had going on prior to working with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just graduated college in May. I would say about 10 months ago, I was still in college at the time. I had kind of came across some, high ticket sales people over Twitter. I had decided that I was working at a bank at a time and I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to get into sales. So essentially what I did was I started, consuming a lot of YouTube content, which a lot of people do. And then I eventually realized like, okay, I'm going to need to get some experience and I'm going to need to find like a mentor to kind of help me out with all this. And fast forward about a couple months, I ended up deciding to take a door-to-door sales job when I graduated college. And I took that and I started that in May. So then I did that till July is all. So I did it for 2 months. I joined Garrett's group in June. And I remember I think I literally had $1,700 in my name at the time. And I was just like, I'm going to figure it out. This is what I want to do. So I remember, paying half up front and doing that. And then I remember deciding that I wanted to get into high ticket sales. And within 3 weeks of the program, I was constantly going to the trainings and doing the sales trainings that Garrett had. And I just knew this was something that I really wanted to do. And then, within 3 weeks, there was a couple job opportunities. I kind of hopped on that and then ended up being able to get an offer to sell. And then I've been doing that since about July 22nd, I believe was my first day. And yeah, I've been just loving it. Before I was making good money at the door-to-door sales, but I was, spending $500 to $600 a week on expenses. And now I'm, making more money than I was there. And I'm also not having any expenses. So it's been really good. I've really been enjoying the journey and every day it's just keeps getting better. I feel like the biggest thing I've learned is just being patient with whether that's your offer or finding out what you need to do to improve. But what I've really found to be the most help is, finding mentors, finding people that have done what you want to do and hiring them. And it really just speeds up your process big time. So that's kind of where I'm at so far.
Okay, cool. And diving into like door to door, like what was that like going from no experience in sales to going into door to door?
It was funny. I think I told Garrett this story, but like one of the first days, or I don't remember, it was the first week, but I remember. So I live in South Dakota, so it's kind of, out in the middle of nowhere. And I remember going to this guy's door. I knock on the door and the guy opens the door and he's sitting in his underwear and he's got a gun in his hand and he's like, "What the hell do you want?" And I'm just like, wow, that really opened my eyes to like, this is door-to-door sales. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's a grind. And that's what I really realized, that like with the internet and our generation, like you can make some good money by not hustling on the grind, driving around all day. So I really learned to have, really thick skin through it, because you are basically cold calling, you're knocking on doors, you're bothering people during their lunch times. So most people aren't really that happy with that. So I really built up, thick skin with that and the ability to talk to people through adversity and through anything in general. So that, to be honest with you, if anybody ever wants to get into high ticket sales, I recommend door-to-door sales, because the transition is fantastic and you can handle anything at that point. So I was staying in hotels every week and that kind of thing. So all the expenses are up to you, but I mean, it's good money when you do get sales. So that's kind of a little bit about my door-to-door experience, but I'm definitely glad I'm out of it. And I'm definitely glad I'm into, closing online and using my computer nowadays. So
Yeah. And like timeline wise, from hey, I'm gonna get a door-to-door sales job to how long you did that. Like how long were you doing that prior to starting working with me?
yeah, so I was doing that for only a month is all, like 4 weeks is all I was doing that. And I had spent some money on expenses and stuff like that. And then I came across your Twitter page and I remember a while back that I had DM'd Garrett and I was like, I'd love to book a call, and you sent me your Calendly. So I remember going back into my DMs and it was still there. So then I booked a call and I was able to talk to, your team, and everything they told me, I was like, I'm in. And so went through all the sales trainings. And so that was about a month into my door to door. And then every day I was at my door to door when I was done for the night, I was doing sales trainings, researching more and just really realizing that like I have to do this now because this is what I want to do. So yeah, within 3 weeks of being in your program, I was able to kind of land an offer with that. So it was awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, the offer that I used to sell, it's a phenomenal offer. They do like $500,000 a month financial consulting offer. What was the biggest difference in switching from door to door to where it's like, hey, I'm knocking on your door, you don't know me, to a super warm, super inbound lead that knows everything about you? Like, what was the biggest transition, like sales wise, for that?
Yeah, for sure. So the biggest thing that I had to really change and wire my brain differently was, in door to door, you need them to make money. You need to find the leads. You need to like be welcoming, and you still do obviously online. But the biggest thing that I realized is people are coming to you now. So you need to make it sound like you are going to help them in a specific way. And obviously you want to help them more than before. It's like, I need to get into the house. I need to get to this place. Now it's like taking a step back, realizing that the leads are kind of coming to you. So just taking your time and really just honing down on being able to help people has been my biggest transition with it, I would say.
Yeah, kind of just turning the tables from, okay, you have to sell me, now I don't have to sell you as much. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah,
Man,
for sure.
You had like a month or so of sales experience. You probably learned, some, but like, what was the biggest thing, I guess, that stood out, like sales training wise, that like you picked up from going through the closing Bible?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I picked up big time was being able to build rapport with people, and then also getting it to the point where at the end of the call, when you get into the close, you want to be able to handle all your objections before you even get to the end. Because a lot of times if you're just, rushing through everything and not handling things step by step, by the time you get to the end, you deal with a lot more objections. So a biggest thing I learned was just, being able to try to handle objections first. And another thing was just being able to frame calls correctly. A lot of people don't think of that, but if you can frame a call correctly, the call just goes a lot smoother, and it's, your closing percentage is going to go up big time.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as the offer you're on now, like, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, how many calls do you typically have a day? Like, how much is the offer? What's commissions look like?
Yeah, so our offer is anywhere from, it's a $7,000 package, and it's also a $4,000 package, and also a $2,000 package. So essentially, we do the one-on-one coaching. So that's essentially the $7,000 package, and that's kind of what most people want to be into anyway. I would say anywhere from 5 to 8 calls a day I'm taking, and it's pretty nice because you obviously know this. You set up your Calendly to whenever you're kind of available, and then calls kind of just filter into whenever your availability fits. So anywhere from 5 to 8 calls, I would say, a day. So it's, when I see 8 on the calendar, I'm pretty excited because it's like it's about to be a good day.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And what's like commission is 12%, correct?
Commission's at 10%. Yep. Commission's at 10%. Yep.
Cool. So you close the deal, you make $700, $400 or so, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good job, man. You could say what you want. Some people don't like to talk to people, but you can make a 9 to 5 salary in a day that you make in a week or two sometimes. So it's pretty awesome if you're willing to put in the work and willing to be, coachable with it, for sure.
And you've been on this offer for a little over a month, probably right around a month now, maybe.
The 22nd of July is when I started. So I'm coming up on a month.
About 3 weeks then. And I know you were just, out of town and stuff, out of office, but what have you done in commissions like so far?
So the first week I did $4,300. I remember the sales leader was telling me, he's like, don't take that many calls, like, if you're not comfortable with it. I remember like my second or third day, I had 12 calls on the calendar, and I was just like, let's go. Like, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. But those 12 calls that day really opened up a lot for me, because I think I only closed 2 out of 12, but it really opened up my eyes to like, okay, now I know what this is. Now I know what's going on. So I was able to do 4,300 that week. And then last week, so 2 weeks ago, was my second week, and then last week I worked 2 days. So in those 7 days, I did $3,100, and then this week so far, where I think we're sitting at about 2,200 in the first 2 days. So it's been good.
About $1,000 a day is about the standard now.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. That's the goal anyway. So
yeah, it's pretty eye-opening when you have days like 12 calls in a day, and you're like, if I close everyone on the highest package, I make $700 for every call. You like do the math. You're like, oh wow, I could make like $7-8 grand if I obviously were to close everyone that pays in full in a perfect situation. Like, 7, 8 grand a day. Like, there's not very many jobs or situations, unless you're running your own business, to where you can do a couple G's in a day.
Not even close, especially because my banking job that I used to do when I was in college, I was doing that 35 hours a week, and I was making $1,800 to $1,900 a month. So 4.5 weeks. And I can almost make that in a day nowadays. So it's incredible. I'm incredibly grateful for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. Well, dude, thank you again for hopping on. I guess kind of like last words, maybe. What was your just overall experience, I guess, with working with me, or to anyone, watching this, intrigued in sales, wants to get in the door, wants to work with me, anything of that? I guess what would you say to that person?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, everyone, the first thing that people need to realize is, you see these high ticket sales guys online that are absolutely crushing it. And like, that's awesome. But the one thing I love really about Garrett and his program is that he's a very personable guy. He's very quick to respond to people and really just down to earth. I mean, you see a lot of these guys driving fancy cars, doing a lot of things. I mean, that's incredible. But to really just, set up your finances right and to, be able to pay it forward to other people has been big. And that's been awesome to me. So I definitely recommend, the Closing Bible, and definitely recommend, if you're willing to put in the work, there's no reason you won't find a job within the month too, being in it. So
Phenomenal. Well, thanks again for hopping on, dude. We'll have to do, in a few months, we'll have to do an update, because you'll be doing a whole lot of different numbers by then.
I hope so. That's the goal.
All righty. Thanks again for hopping on, man. See ya.
Of course.